Talk with Tyson Bryden. Come on for the ride. We'll take you inside. Non-stop rock talk. It's non-stop rock talk with Tyson Bryden. Come on for the ride. We'll take you inside.
Welcome to Nonstop Rock Talk. This is your host, Tyson Bryden. Today, I'm very happy to welcome from the band The Faithe, Amy Faithe and Mick Araiza. Welcome to you both. How's it going?
Thank you.
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thanks for joining me. I mean, we're getting close to Christmas, so everybody's busy. I'm sure you guys are busy too, and everybody's trying to get everything going. So it's a nice change to be able to talk about music rather than talking about Christmas. So not that I hate Christmas, but I'd rather talk about music.
Yes, we're on board with that.
Perfect. So as we begin, I'm always curious to hear the story of how a band comes to be when they first appear on my show. What can you tell me in terms of the history of The Faithe?
Yeah, so we met through a mutual friend, a musician friend, kind of by chance, really. Mike and he had come to one of my performances, and we connected, through our mutual friend, and stayed in contact and became friends. We were friends for maybe about a while before we even thought to do anything musically. We come from drastically different musical backgrounds, which I think is on our side for our musical compilation and growth and evolution as we continue to move forward. He comes from a rock, heavy metal side of things. I've got the jazz, the soul, classical, R&B. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything, including rock. But we kind of just tested it out one day and thought, we should probably write something and see what happens. So,
yeah. To her point, I mean, we definitely appreciated each other's artistry, and really it took some time. And we actually started doing some acoustic covers in the park with a video camera. And then we're like, well, let's write something. We started writing, and it's always like rediscovering yourself as an artist. When you write a song or an album, you say, well, we've already did that. Let's see what else we can do. Let's challenge ourselves. So, yeah.
Cool. So you've just released a brand new single video entitled Devour.
Yeah.
I love the track, by the way.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
It's got like heavy guitar. The drums sound amazing. And then, of course, this vocal that resonates in your mind long after the song has finished. It's incredible, I will say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But before we discuss the song, tell me about the video itself. It appears, I guess it kind of looks like it's out in the desert. I mean, you're in New Mexico, so I'm assuming New Mexico somewhere.
Yeah.
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 Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks great. Now, the actual title, which, as I mentioned, is Devour. What can you tell me about the song lyrically, possibly where the inspiration from this song kind of came from?
Yeah. Man, and the cool thing about music and about being an artist is allowing the audience to pull from it what they do, right? But of course, initially a song starts somewhere. I think for me, when writing the lyrics, devour is it's a powerful word, right? Just even on its own and in its own right. And you can find yourself being devoured or devouring throughout life, whether it's consuming things or with people or relationships or technology. In the era of technology that we are, it's, I would say, easy to be devoured by it at times, and just find yourself being caught and lost in the cyclone of a lot of things. And so that's kind of the premise. And I tend to write mysteriously for the reason of, allowing people to really kind of find something in that resonates with them specifically. So it's general in a sense, but that's kind of where it began for me, is just feeling devoured by the world with maybe just the current state of the world or my own inner turmoil, right? Because we're all dealing with things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where it began.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. It's funny because a bunch of the interviews I've done this in the past few months, a lot of songs seem to be going in the direction of, what's going on in people's lives and what's going on in the world as well. I think it makes for amazing lyrics. I had a band on from Ireland. They're called Trucker Diablo, and the album is called Social Hand Grenade. And I was like, what the heck is a social hand grenade? And it was literally about people's phones, more or less, and the internet, and being attached to that sort of thing, and how it and I'm going to use no pun intended, it devours people's lives. You know what I mean? They become so consumed with that. And so that's kind of what I mean when there's a lot of these topics. The world's changed so much, especially with handheld devices and how much we depend on them. So anyways, I love that sort of title. And like you said, that word is very captivating. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why I had to ask about it, because I was very curious about what your thinking behind that would be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Now for this song, production wise, and as I said, it does sound incredible. Where was this recorded?
We recorded it in Las Vegas, Nevada, with a longtime friend, Chris Collier. He's a amazing producer. We recorded it in his home studio. And for this track, we wanted a big, heavy sound, and we wanted to sound very modern and contemporary. We wanted loud guitars, massive drums. We wanted the vocals to be produced in a way where they're just out in front. We had in our mind's eye what we wanted, and the only one that the tried and true for that production is Chris Collier.
Yeah, I actually have in my notes about the guitar. It sounds really tight and it's really precise. I would assume it was double tracked.
Oh yeah.
It sounds huge. It sounds great, and it goes together really nicely. How I can tell, you can tell it's doubled, but it's tight enough where it gives it a fullness that that I love to hear that in guitar when I listen to a song.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. And that attributes the chemistry of working with a great producer in the studio. That in the past, we've produced ourselves and we've had a lot of fun doing that. But for this track and moving forward, working with Chris Collier, it gives you the opportunity to be the artist. And what that means, for those that haven't experienced it in the studio before, you're under direction, you're being listened to, and you're being coached on how you can make it better for the song. And that's what allows for the timing to tighten up. Admittedly, a lot of artists these days, they'll do a performance, and with technology like Pro Tools, you can move the performance over and get it in alignment. Collier is more like, let's get it right. And it's every time that, working with Collier, I always anticipate that and always leave a better guitar player, artist, vocalist. So this is the product of putting together a great team, which was the three of us, Amy, myself, and Chris Collier producing. Which
is important to be. That makes you a better recording musician, for one. Yeah. And I love the fact that you're saying that, you're not taking that track and just moving it over, kind of thing, like in Pro Tools or whatever. And I love that. As I'm a guitar player myself, so for me, if I'm recording, I'm not going to do that. I want to play I mean, I love big guitars, so I want to play it myself, and I want to double it. And if I want to triple it, I can triple it just to big that.
Yeah.
I love that big wall of guitar, right? But
Yeah.
right. So I totally respect that. Now the guitar solo is great as I mean, I love the melody within that, and it caught me off guard because how you actually started it, where you actually started on it was more of the higher part of the neck and a lower note, and then you kind of built into it, which I loved. I thought it was brilliant. It was almost like a Black Sabbath type of vibe in a little bit there.
That's great. Yeah, I mean that's the fathers of it all, of heavy. So that means a lot. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
No problem. And I mean, you used an SG, so that kind of goes hand in hand too. It's either Angus or Tony Iommi, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, amp wise, what did you use?
Sure, that's a great question. Well, again, this was not my choice. This was, again, when trusting in the producer Chris Collier. Chris Collier has a relationship with a company by the name of Synergy. And so he had those modules in the studio. And if I'm not mistaken, we used the Friedman one, the Mesa Boogie one, and the Soldano one.
So those are heavy amplifiers, like great amplifiers,
Right.
I mean, Friedman's are unreal. And of course, we all know Mesa and Soldano, you don't hear about that much anymore, but they're still great amps. So that's cool.
Well, yeah, that was there because I've been using Mike's stuff since like the 90s. So that's like that's been my signature thing for about 30 years now. So that was there for that. But we all adapt. And with these Synergy things, there are modules that go in there. They're the preamp section. And then they go straight into the board and the interface. And so you have the preamp, and then there's the IRs and, a couple other things. But again, we leave all of that up to Chris Collier, and I'm there to play guitar. Amy's there to sing. We have the pre-production of what we have, like the in pre-production. What that is where you have a basic arrangement of the song.
Yeah.
And then when you get in the studio and you work with a producer like Chris Collier, it's rearranged in real time. You're making changes as you're taking, and it's just so much fun. It's all this fun chaos and when it's a really great roller coaster ride, and that's how we like to work, and we all contributed to the end result.
Now, is he putting those amp sounds on after the fact, or are you actually hearing them as you're playing it?
Sure. That's a great question. So Collier's frame of working is he's actually mixing it while you're taking it. In other words, he's putting down the best sound now. There's really not a whole lot of afterthought. He's very unique in that way, to where it's not like, well, we'll do a DI track and then we'll decide later. He's deciding on the fly. It's moving really, really fast. And that's really why we feel that this song has so much energy, because all of us were so energetic, because you're moving really, really quick. It's almost like a live performance, in the sense that, twisting a knob, that sounds great, go for it.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of it's gut instinct from the producer, from Amy's vocals, my guitar playing, and so that's the way we like to work.
Yeah, so you're capturing it as it's happening, more or less.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of thought put into it. It's like, just let's try this and go with it, which I think is amazing. And for you in the studio, Amy, how did he approach it vocally?
Obviously the melody was written, but he had some fantastic ideas for layering things and for harmony parts. As you can see, there's kind of the call and response that would come in, which just made it massive and huge and really dramatic, which just blew both of our minds actually when we heard it, because I'm here just recording pieces and parts and harmonies, and then when it was all put together, it was like, holy shit, like this is massive, so it was very instinctual, very in the moment, very just, I'll try this, or he would say try this and do that, and then all of a sudden we just had this like dramatic piece, so it was really fun in that way, because it keeps you on your toes, and it's like a momentary challenge, but you're just totally up for it, you know, and excited for what the outcome is going to be.
Now, did he have like a certain mic that he liked to do vocals with? Like he's got this awesome mic that he captures it with?
You know, honestly, it was the solid state Logic mic.
Cool. Wow. It
Yeah.
sounds incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he had some front end stuff. You know, I would encourage you to listen to some of his other productions, and you'll see how his sound is. You can pick up on it. He did produce the last Korn record.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, and so big, heavy.
Yeah.
You know,
Love and Death.
Well, he remixed some of the Love and Death stuff. Yeah, gosh, he was in charge of some of the production for the Mick Mars stuff.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, there was if you're a George Lynch fan, he did some of the Lynch Mob stuff.
Like recent Lynch Mob, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure about his involvement on that, but the KXM.
Yep. Okay. With Doug
right,
Pinnick. Yep.
He produced all that and mixed it. So he has it.
He's amazing.
He's the guy.
Cool.
And he's such a joy to work with in the studio. Like that's a big piece too. It was just
Right.
like playing around and just light, and it was encouraging and supportive and positive, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that gets the best out of you in the studio.
That's you know, to people that are listening that are want to learn or starting their projects, that's really like that is the element. You know, talent can take you places, but your ability to work with people, and there's always a leader in the room, and it typically happens naturally. And so that's typically your producer. They'll lead, and then it's something. If the world operated the way we did in the studio, man, it'd be, you know.
I know, exactly. It'd be so much better.
It's so much.
It's so much better
you know,
world.
Well, you know, and that's where, you know, we were talking about, you know, the lyrics, Devour, whatever, you know, the things and how it can make you feel, and how a lot of artists are writing about the world. I think that I can't speak for everybody. I know for us, music is a point of like, it's a sanctuary for us, if you would. It's a release. It's inspirational. It will put you through so many different emotions. If you want to get into a mosh pit, if you want to go for a drive and listen to something very cinematic, if you want to meditate and calm down, you know, it's just all these 7 or 8 notes that are just used by other perspectives. And it's amazing. We're really, really fortunate and lucky to be artists and to be stewards of this big thing that's bigger than all of us.
I mean, I always classify like a producer as like a good producer as like a Picasso, like putting paint on, you know, like putting color and layers on a song and making it, you know, you mentioned about taking, you know, the musicians, you know, they can play the song and it sounds great, but a good producer will bring that to fruition and knock it out of the park, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So Apparition was released back in January, I believe.
Yeah.
So this video and song has a totally different vibe than Devour, which is cool. And I thought it had more of like a 90s vibe to it. And what I noticed was the bass line immediately, which I assume that you're playing the bass lines as well.
Yeah.
Because you're in the video playing guitar and you're playing the bass, which is in, I think, the three of the videos that I watched. You guys kind of made it all cohesive, which I thought was kind of cool, that you kind of did the same thing. They're different, but you're doing the same thing, which was really neat. And getting back to the 90s thing, I always thought that the 90s, something that always stood out to me, that those bass lines drove the song more than guitar did. Guitar was kind of like in the 90s was kind of like one of those things like we don't want to do that 80s thing, so we'll make the bass line stand out and the vocal, right? And like a lot of the bands did that. So this song was really cool. What can you tell me about this track?
You know, the inspiration for this song, can I share about you?
Sure.
Yeah. it came from a conversation Mike and I were having about his dad who has passed 5 years ago. And I mean, what is an apparition, right? It's another one of those terms that, well, there's the actual definition of it, but then there's the interpretive. So, I mean, it was about the passing of someone, but it can also be interpreted as someone or something that continues to haunt you as you move through life. Don't escape it. You can't escape it. You don't want to escape it, right? Because there are fabrics of our lives as we move that have such integral parts of who we are that to think of them as gone would leave a hole in our heart and our soul. So we carry with us, right?
Yep.
So it's that literal, figurative concept of carrying things or someone or something with you through life.
Cool. Wow, that's deep. It's kind of deep, right? That's totally, and I can relate to that because my dad passed away 5.5 years ago, so roughly around the same time, and still to this day, I still carry. There's still something that I carry with me, and something he said, but then you like you kind of get sad, and you're like, oh man, I wish I could just phone him.
Right.
Something happens, and you're like, I just wish I could phone him and talk to him one more time, right? So. I think in my life, I had never really lost anyone that really, really close to me until my dad passed away. So I didn't really understand as much as, people would say stuff to you and say, and then you wouldn't have as much empathy. I wouldn't understand it as much until it actually happened to me. So.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. You don't know until you know, and it sounds like your dad passed away during the pandemic.
Yep.
Right. And it was very difficult. I couldn't visit my dad in the last year of his life.
Yep.
And it was infuriating. He, had the elements of being ill like that. And he didn't understand, at most I could see him through a glass window. And he didn't understand, like he wanted to have the touch of his family, and those are things that you just have to deal with.
Yeah.
And you have to let him go. And you have to just say that's what it was. It does me no good to be angry about it.
Right.
It really doesn't. And to your point, like, God, I just, one more time, just
Exactly. Yeah.
one more time. And I think, the way I interpret like apparition is like, when we were writing it, it's like, none of us know what happens when it's all done. We're all curious about it.
Yeah.
And it's for each of us to think about it and maybe, make decisions based off that, whatever your vibe is. Right. But when you lose a parent, it really, it's like you go through this portal, and you go through this portal of a different level of understanding that life is short and that your loved ones are super important. And when they're gone forever.
Yeah.
And maybe in our own mind or energy or spirituality, whatever it is, you get these residuals. I know I do, of my dad. There'll be something in the sky. I'll be thinking of him and his old work truck where he used to work. He was a mailman. I'll be thinking of him. It's like, man, I miss him. And then I'll be at a stoplight and there goes a post office truck or something like that. We all have these things. What is it? I don't know. And so that's part of that whole apparition thing. And that was the crux of the song.
That's cool. I love that. Now, Wasted, as I mentioned, they've kind of got the same theme, but in Apparition, you're wearing a sweater. In Wasted, you're wearing a leather jacket, and which I thought was a big contrast. It was a little bit of a contrasting thing as you're wearing a skirt, and then the other video you're wearing a pair of jeans. So I picked up on that, and I'm like, but they're going with the same concept, or you're changing guitars and you're playing a different bass, which I loved that because everything was kind of like coinciding with each other.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you we appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's energy for us. Like the songs that we write, there's an instrument that will have this, as a guitar player, you can walk into a music store. There's about 300 guitars, and you're going to walk around, you know, just looking to find that energy. And like sometimes it's visual, but I think most guitar players would agree that yes, that's part of it. There's this energy thing. You grab, you're like, oh, this is it. I don't care what it is. Get the credit card out. Get the cash out. I'm taking it home.
You have
right?
to.
So,
Yeah, I mean, that's your duty as a guitar player. You have to buy. You have no choice. You have to buy it because that chance might pass you by and you'll never have it again.
well, yeah, and it's wood, right? In most cases, it's still alive. It has a form of energy, right? And that energy resonates with you, and you sustain from that. You create this vortex with everything else in the universe, and you write a cool riff.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, life is good.
Exactly. And you might not have written that riff if you didn't buy that guitar, right?
That's right. Yeah. So everybody out there that's listening,
Buy the guitar.
Buy the
we know
that's
that
right.
during the interview, you've been scrolling. Buy it.
That's right. I always joke with I was joking with a musician buddy of mine. I said, someone says, well, why do you need so many guitars? Like, say you have 10 guitars. I'm like, yeah,
Right.
but if I sell one, then I only have 9. And why would I only want 9 guitars? It's like, he's a drummer. So he's like, I have 20 Ludwig snares. He's like, if I sell one, I only have 19. And why would I ever do that to myself?
Right. Yeah. I mean, as artists, we are fortunate enough to know why we're here. Right. And that within itself is an accomplishment. So do whatever it takes to endure and facilitate with utility of instruments to get new inspirations. Your bass, your snare drum, your reed, your saxophone, whatever your instrument is, they all have their own energy, and we gotta move from one energy to another to continue to create. So do it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Mike, I read that you've collaborated with many artists, a bunch of them that I actually admire, which Dave Menichetti of Y&T was one of them who I've been a fan of since I was a kid. And of course, Frank Hannon of Tesla, and Pat Travers, who I believe is a Canadian. I believe he is, which is cool. And I mean, those are all legendary people. And what was the capacity that you collaborated with them? Playing?
Sure. Yeah. Well, so I've been a songwriter for most of my life, and there was an opportunity that presented itself in about 10, 15 years ago, where I had written some songs, and I was working with the singer at the time. His name was Jeff Sandoval, and Frank Hannon came into the picture. He was going to be the producer, and Frank Hannon is from Tesla, and we went up to the studio. And so we brought in the songs that we had, and he was like, I got to do a solo album anyway. Why don't we put it under my name to get a bigger audience? And we started the production, and it so happens that all these guys were in and around the studio at that time and loved what they heard, and they wanted to come in and participate. So they all played guitar solos on them. So for me as a songwriter, to have my heroes
cool.
not only appreciate the songs and riffs, but were inspired enough to play guitar solos on it was amazing. So yeah, so it was a great experience. And that experience honestly helped me learn, of course, and, go off into and evolve into who I am now and what I do with the Fa. So without that experience, I don't know if I would have all the angles to look at what Amy and I do, to be adventurous, if you would, and look at it from it's still like blues rock driven, but looking at that alternative 90s sound. And just one thing I learned from, that experience is those guys themselves, and they're unapologetic about it themselves, unapologetic about it, excuse me. And they play very, very raw. And so like that's guitar to me. Just be who you are, play raw and play loud.
And I know Tesla has always felt that way. A song's a song. Let's write a song and we'll play it. And it doesn't matter what it comes out as. It's Tesla. You know what I've had years ago. I had them on a couple of the guys on the show, And I kind of asked that question, and they said, well, we don't care. Like, we just do what we do.
Yeah. Amy and I are not in the boardroom like it's a corporation looking at, well, what is our market show we could do next year? Where's our trends? I mean, we could just go with what we feel. Typically, our writing process is there will be a riff, and I'll pass them by Amy, and she'll categorize them, like, say, well, this is the one that I'm vibrating, vibing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is the one that does it, and then she'll come in, and then it's automatic. I mean, and immediate. What I mean by automatic is I'll start. I'll be like, do you like that? Yeah, and then I'll pull up a session in our home studio and start finding a tempo, and there she is writing lyrics, getting the melody, and it comes really quick for us. We're very, very lucky.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, Amy, you had mentioned you've done jazz and classical, and did you like take music in school and carry forward with that and do all that kind of classical jazz stuff?
So I'm mainly self-taught. I was in choir in school. So, you do the ensembles and stuff, and I enjoyed that. I had a few lessons here and there growing up, but mainly self-taught with my ears. When I was infatuated with someone, I would just listen over and over and over and over and over again. And then you just do it. I think for me, as far as honing my craft and my vocal abilities, it was just years of just singing and trying new things and exploring different genres, like you mentioned, from jazz to musical theater and some opera, classical, and of course pop and rock and really everything in between. Just a lover of good music and wanting to test my own boundaries. I mean, my initial idols were like big balladeers, like the Whitney Houston, Barbara Streisand, Celine Dion, and for me, it was like the dynamic. The range to me was just unbelievable, what they could achieve, with the highs and then sustaining the notes and the control. I think those are the things vocally, even before understanding what that really meant as a listener, as a young girl, it just blew me away. And I just knew that I was going to do that, and I was going to get there, and I could reach that level, and I was determined. So I just sang and sang and sang, and I was able to hone a sound from my own, from pulling from different artists that inspired me, and it's ever evolving, right? Because we're ever evolving as humans and of course as artists. So that's the exciting thing about it, is like there's no ceiling. I don't ever want to put myself in a box. And I think musically that, might be apparent in the different songs in our catalog, is that, we've got this edgy rock sound, but then there's a clear tone, bellish voice on top of it. But you'll hear some grungy tones in there and some, just a variety of colors. So we just like to be free and create, what the inspiration brings.
What you feel. Yeah. What you're feeling in the moment, or as we talked about in the studio, of doing what you feel in the moment. And so would you be belting out like Whitney Houston on your own, playing that over and over again?
Yes. And if you ask my parents and my brothers, they would probably have stories to tell. I would just lock myself in my room and play the cassette tape or the CD, depending on what decade we're talking about. But
right.
And just sing it over and over and over, and try and physiologically understand how to achieve that just by feeling, because I didn't have a teacher teaching me the actual mechanics of it, besides those few little spots, throughout my life. But it was my ears, and I'm grateful for that. I was able to dive deep just by listening and somehow make the connection physiologically of what needed to happen in my body. And as we know, the voice is a muscle, so you build it, So I started young and have never stopped. So
I mean, as I said, you have an amazing voice. There's so much power there, and which is fantastic. And I mean, it goes back to us as guitar players as well. Us in our bedrooms playing that same part over and over again, or a guitar solo or a riff or whatever it was. So, I mean, we can all kind of relate to that as in playing music, because that's what you have to do. And sometimes there's that sacrifice of, okay, am I going to stay in my bedroom and practice, or am I going to go hang out with my friends? Usually it was, I'm staying in my bedroom to practice because the payoff will be later on in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, I think that's true for anything that someone finds their passion about, whether if it's someone that's a runner, a writer, someone who does martial arts, again, athletic, someone who likes to read, whatever it is, we all have gifts, and we're all, for us, I was fortunate to find mine at a very young age, and it's not work because you love it, like you can't, you take it everywhere with you, it goes, sometimes we sleep with our guitars,
So true.
I was watching an interview, someone talking about Dimebag, that he had literally had a guitar in the bathroom,
That's crazy.
I don't know how true that is, but when you're passionate about something, it's always on your mind. And if that's, to those that are listening, if there's something that's always on your mind, man, I hope that you're pursuing it, and I'm hoping you're giving it maximum effort. Not, and of course within the balance that you see fit for your life, but life is short. As we were talking about with our dads passing away, it's been 5 years, 5.5 years. This ride doesn't last long, and it goes by quick. So find your passion and go for it.
Yeah. And always, and you're always wanting to be better than you were yesterday. It's like, today I'm going to be better than I was yesterday, and I'm going to pick up my guitar and I'm going to work on maybe something that I've never done before, which drives us, right? Or sing something I've never attempted something like that, and I'm going to try it now. So I think sometimes as musicians, you're kind of like, you always want to be better.
Yeah.
That, or, I agree with you on that, but there's also like another perspective. Like, I just want to learn something new.
Right. That too.
Yeah. I just always want to be learning. Like, and I'm always learning. I still, in my mind, I'm still that like 9-year-old kid that's amazed by this guitar and what it can do, and want to pull on it, twist it, do whatever it takes.
What if I do this?
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate expressive exploration of ideas. And
I mean, last year, I always find that when I go see a band or a guitar player, I'll go home. I went to see Nuno with Extreme last year, and then the week after that, I saw Richie Kotzen. So between seeing those two guitar players in a week's time, it's not like you're going home and playing exactly what they're playing. They're great. They have their thing, but you're listening and you're picking up something from that. And I value that so much, that it's like. And Nuno was funny because he said, he was talking and he said, I can always tell when there's guitar players in the audience because they're standing there with their arms folded.
Arms crossed.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not that guy. I don't ever want to be that guy. I want to support you and be like, he's so awesome. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy with his arms folding. Like, I can go, because Nuno said, he goes, it's always that guy going, I know I can do that. I can do that better than him. It's like, who cares about if you can do it better than him? Like, just be yourself and do what you do, right?
Yeah.
Well, those two guys that you mentioned are unique, and they're not concerned about competition. It shows that they have a passion for it, of course.
Yeah.
And they're concerned about what they can discover within themselves and mute through the instrument. That's what we're about. We're not we're really not even in competition with ourselves. We challenge ourselves, but we don't have like song number 15 that we like better than song number 21. They're all our creations. We celebrate all of them. What can we do that, the challenge is, can we continue to have this much fun and let it be that roller coaster where you come up and then you're heading down. It's just all this excitement. And then, the ride's over. You're like, okay, that song's done. Let's go on to the next one. And, so it's that's what I pick up from those guys and watching them play, just their in pure enjoyment of that moment and celebration of being an artist.
Yeah, and they're smiling and or feeling it. You know what I mean? Like they are so entranced by it, and I love seeing that. And that shows in their performance as well, because you pick up on that, you feel that from them. So moving on to 2026, what is on the horizon for the fall?
Yeah. Well, we're actually going back to Vegas to work on a new tune with Chris Collier in February.
Awesome.
So we're super psyched about that. We're in pre-production right now on the tune. So we'll be going there doing that. We'll definitely have that released shortly thereafter with another music video. And then we're ready to do some touring, some buy-ons with artists that are resonant to our direction and what we're doing and who feel the same. So yeah, touring, traveling, and some more recording.
Writing, yeah. You know, write, wash, repeat, you know, whatever, you know. We love it all. We love being in the studio. We have a studio here in our house. We have, of course, we're working with Collier a lot. And we've got, you know, a great rhythm section that we'll hire, and when the opportunities present themselves, to do some buy-ons to open up for some major artists, to again, that ones that resonate and that fit the energies right, the hangs right, you know. That's always on the radar.
Yeah.
You know, there's never a downtime. You know, it's always, what can we do? Who can we call? Who can we email? Who can we reach out to? Where's the next opportunity?
That's awesome. Now, I didn't mention this, Mike. I love your hat, by the way, because it says the fall on it. Like, that looks great. That is awesome. Which leads me to the next question. I really want to thank you both, Amy and Mike, for joining me today.
Sure. Our pleasure.
I'm sure there's something you would like to add in terms of, I mean, obviously you have some merchandise, and I would assume you have a website and stuff like that. So is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so actually, we would love for you to support us on our YouTube channel. That's a great place to start. It's the Fa_music. Subscribe to that, and you'll have the latest and first look at all of our newest releases and things that are going on. You can also follow us on our Instagram, which is also the Fa_music, at the Fa_music, and our Fa Facebook page. So join us on our socials. Start with our YouTube.
Yeah.
We want to take you along for the ride.
Right.
We've got some exciting things coming up, and we want you to be a part of it and get that first look at what we're doing.
For now, right now, YouTube is our primary focus. Of course, we got Instagram, stuff like that, but with YouTube, we can consolidate everything. You can see our music videos. You can listen through. You can hear the streaming, the audio of that, and you know we're going to get more aggressive with that next year, and we'll get a little bit more aggressive with our social media. But that's the best place to keep in touch with us. We're going to be honest. We really want to build our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and we always respond to comments. So we love, we had some great listeners on this last track, and we're always responding and appreciation and commenting back and all that. So we like to connect, with our fans and take you along for the ride.
It kind of seems like YouTube's the way. I mean, Facebook, you can add stuff, but I think YouTube as an artist is the way to go.
Yep.
That's how we feel for now.
That's exactly.
Yeah, until things change, which they always do, but YouTube is pretty solid. We enjoy that platform. That's where, we'll listen to watch our favorite bands videos. So yeah, that's the place to go for us.
Yeah. And that's the Fa_music.
Perfect. Okay. Well, you guys, thank you again. And I hope you have a great night, and hopefully we'll get to talk again. And I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you so much.
much.
Pleasure chatting with you. Thank you.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you guys. Take care.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.